What is going on, beautiful people? It is your girl Marquita with Team TRM coming at you with another video. And today we're going to be talking about new platform alerts. But before I get started, I do have to let you know a disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Getting involved with any opportunity carries extreme risk. You can lose all or some of your funds. So be sure to seek professional advice. Do your own thorough research. These videos are intended to be for informational and entertainment purposes only. So there's no shortage of opportunities available today that promise to make you tons of cash and tons of crypto. But what I see far too often is that many don't have the tools to understand whether or not they should be investing in any of these platforms. But rather than being an extreme advocate for or against any opportunities that you may see, I want to give you some insight that helps you this year and beyond in your crypto journey. We've all been burned, and sometimes the best option is saying no to most things that you see out there. However, for those that do decide to continue to play in this space, having the upcoming knowledge that I present in this video may allow you to win more than you lose, because let's face it, there will be some losses. It's virtually inevitable. The first thing I want to talk about is the word discretionary. Some of us may have heard this term being thrown around all the time, or more commonly, those that share their journeys online may say something to the effect of use funds you can afford to lose, or don't risk funds that you can't lose, etc. However, the fact that there are many who, even after hearing all of those statements, state that they have their 401ks, they have their school money, their rent money, tax money, etc. invested, or even that they lost that in prior programs, shows that we may not actually know what the word discretionary means, or we don't care, that is, until we actually lose those funds, or we're in a state of desperation or FOMO, and we're willing to put up more than we should for a teeny, tiny, small chance at a better life. I want to do my best to help change that, but first, let's look at the literal definition of discretionary. So discretionary is an adjective. It means available for use at the discretion of the user. The key area there is available for use. There seems to be some sort of gap there because we may think that, well, I can float this amount that I have in my bank account until this period. As long as it comes back to me in this period of time, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be fine. This is the wrong approach to have in the crypto world. In fact, it's the wrong approach to have in any form of investing. Somehow, because of the potential reward in the crypto world, we treat funds that we risk or dedicate to it very differently than we would traditional investments. And that's because many of us think that we need more money and we need more money fast, and that somehow will solve many of the issues that we have. However, it goes deeper than just having more money. The truth is, until we understand how far our day-to-day funds go and how we are handling those funds, more money likely won't solve what we feel our issues are. So step one to winning in this new year is understanding exactly what your discretionary funds are. For that, I use a simple tracker every single day. You could use it every single week. I'm going to show you what that tracker looks like. I'm going to show you how to use it. And for those that didn't click off the video right now because they thought I was presenting a new opportunity and I'm not, I'm going to give you that tracker and the resources in the description below. So let's go ahead and jump into it and show you exactly how that tracker works. So as mentioned, I actually utilize the sheet that you're looking at every single day, but for you, you may look at it on a weekly, bi-weekly, or even monthly basis, depending on the frequency of transactions that you're doing. Now, if you're new to looking at your transactions, I recommend even going backwards and pulling up your bank statements, your credit card statements, and filling out the sheets here, so you can get a general idea of your spending pattern, looking at it at a glance and going through it meticulously will show you patterns that you may need to correct. So many people will say, I don't know where all of my money is going. It's because we're swiping our plastics, or, we're just spending cash and we're not paying much attention. This forces you to be intentional about your spending if you actually utilize it. So the first thing you're going to do when you click the link below, you're going to be led to a file that looks exactly like this in Google Sheets. So it may prompt you to say, hey, you need a Google account. Gmail is completely free to use. You're going to receive what's called a viewer only link, so that will not be able to be edited. The first thing you need to do is to click on file at the top and make a copy. And once you do make a copy, it'll be on your own drive and you'll be able to make the adjustments that you need. So I'm going to cover the sheet hopefully very briefly so we can get back into the rest of the video. But the first thing you're going to notice here that I built in is the month. I like to see at a very quick glance what month we're in. You can change this by double clicking inside of the box here and selecting the month that you choose. So let's say you're watching this in January and you're starting your budget in January. You can click on any date within January. Like for instance, I'll click on January 11th. It's going to default to the actual month. However, since we're in December, I'm just going to go back to December 1st and we're going to start the rest of the sheet here. The next area that you see is the summary area. Now, I do want to clarify that anything in black that you see on the sheet, you should not edit. Those are information that's going to be filled out automatically by what you fill in white here. So I have these denoted in black, but you'll see your summary income versus expenses and what you have left over. And there's two categories there. You have the expected, you have the actual, and the difference between the two. The next area is we have 4 areas that we are going to edit ourselves. So we have the income summary, the income transactions, you have the expense summary, and the expense transactions. And I'm going to show you exactly how to utilize that. As mentioned, you only have to edit what you see here in white, and everything in black will auto fill because of that. So you can utilize the income summary and expense summary for anything that you have going on in your life. So if you're working a regular job, this is good for you. If you're doing gig work, this is good for you. If you're filling out surveys and offers, it's good for you. If you're earning crypto online, it's good for you. And so it's going to be available for everyone to be able to track their expenses and their income. So let's go ahead and say that you do a combination of all of the above. So you're expected to receive a certain amount of income at the beginning of each month. I would go in and fill out all of the details for the month ahead. So let's say this is December 1st. I'm going to say I'm expected to get 2 paychecks. So we're going to go paycheck 1. We're going to go paycheck 2. I'm also going to drive for Uber, so I'll fill in Uber here. I'm also going to receive some expected withdrawals from crypto, so I'll go program 1. And I'm also going to fill out some surveys, so I'll put survey here as well. So from my paychecks, I know what I'm normally going to get, so I'm going to put $1,500 here each. And notice as we're filling out this information, a couple of things are changing on the sheet. So as we are entering our expected, it's tallying up as much as what we are expecting in total here. And then we see that our summary is also changing as well. So the expected income so far is $3,000. And we haven't received anything actually yet. So that is going to remain 0 both here and here. So we can see the difference of our income minus expenses is 3,000, and we can see the difference so far is negative 3,000 because we haven't received any actual income or filled in any expenses. So let's go through and complete that here. So I'm going to say 500 for Uber. Program 1, we're going to say we're expected to have 250 for the month, and for surveys we're going to expect to earn about 300. So let's say the month continues and you're starting to get some of that income in. You want to fill what actually happens with your income under the income transactions. So you'll see the day, the income source, and the amount. Let me show you how cool this is. So let's say we are receiving our first paycheck. We got it on the 5th of the month. So I'll just go ahead and hit 5. And then for income sources, whatever we filled out in our income summary is now listed here as well. So let's say we actually got our paycheck 1 And we were expecting 1,500 and we actually got that. So we got paid 1,500 here. The next, we're going to say we did Uber on the 10th. So Uber generally pays you the same day, I believe. So we'll say we drove for Uber on the 10th of the month, and we also drove Uber on the 12th of the month as well. So we'll select Uber. You can select your source more than once within this sheet here. So let's say on the 10th, we got paid $250 for the work that we did. And also on the 12th, we got paid $250, just as an example. So you'll notice a couple of things are happening within this income transaction side. You'll see that as we put the day of the month, the full date is listed here. So we can see that the 5th was Tuesday. We can see that the 10th was Sunday and the 12th was Tuesday, December 12th. And as we enter our paycheck one, Uber and Uber, we notice that our income that we expected was $4,050. And so far, we've received $2,000 of that $4,050, which means we still have about $2,050 that we're expecting. So let's just go ahead and fill in the rest of the information here. So the 15th, we got our paycheck 2. And that was also 1,500. But let's say for surveys or for program 1, we were expecting 250 and we didn't actually get that much. So we'll say on the 20th, we were able to withdraw from program 1, and that was actually $25 instead of the $250 we were expecting. So if we're looking here, we can see that now the difference between what we were expecting versus our actual income, we're short $525 because of the shortness that we've had here with these opportunities. Now, let's say for surveys, we got paid our surveys. However, the surveys didn't pay as much as we were expecting, and we actually got $175. So we'll notice again that what we actually received is $3,700 of what we were expecting, which is $4,050. So we're short about $350. So right now, our actual income in our pocket is $3,700, but we all know we don't just get paid, we also have expenses as well. So if we move over to the expense summary, we want to do exactly what we did in the income summary, which is list what we are expecting our budget to be for the month. So typically everyone has rent or mortgage payment. Let's say that our rent is about $1,000. Let's say we have a car as well. So we're expecting to have to pay for our car payment, which is going to be $750. Let's also say that we have childcare that we need to pay for. And let's say our childcare, we're expecting to pay $500. Our spouse helps us out because maybe they don't need to work as much, so we don't pay a lot in childcare. And then let's say that we have car insurance that we have to pay as well. And our car insurance is about $250 a month. And let's say we also have food here. And the food that we are looking to spend, we don't want to eat out a lot, but let's say we also are looking to spend $250. So you'll notice the same thing has happened here. So we notice that our expected is $2,750. We don't have any actual yet because we haven't filled in our actual expenses. So right now we still have some credit. So, you know, the difference between our budget and what we actually spent, we still have the $1,000 credit available. And if we scroll over here, we can see the summary. So right now we're expected to spend $2,750. And if all goes to plan, we will have $1,300 in discretionary income that we can use. But let's see how it all works out. Okay, so let's say that on the 1st, our rent does come out. So we'll just go ahead and select rent from the list here. And our rent was $1,000. So we can see that it changes here. So we had $1,000 that we were expected. It was $1,000 that actually came out. So we're not over or under. We have a zero-based budget here. The next is our car payment comes out on the 5th of the month. So let's just go ahead and put car payment. And that typically is always the same. So we have $750. So again, we have our actual so far we're so good. So we're expected to spend $2,750 and we've actually spent $1,750 for the month. So we're pretty good. However, when it comes to childcare, you know, on the 15th, maybe we had to hire a babysitter for an extra couple of days, or maybe we had to take our children to daycare for an extra couple of days. And instead of spending $500. Let's say for the month it ended up being $850 in childcare. So now we are going a bit over, so we've spent more than $150 above what we were expecting in our budget. So if we're keeping ourselves honest, we can see that maybe at this point we need to start curbing some of our additional spending because we're already over what we were expecting to spend. So if we go to the 20th here and let's select car insurance, and we were expected to spend $250. Let's say we expected to spend $250 and we spent that. And let's say for food, we went out on the 25th to go grocery shopping and we spent $250, but someone had an event as well. And so on the 27th, we weren't expecting this, but we also spent more money on food as well. So let's say we spent about an extra $75 between you and your partner or you and your spouse. So you can see that we're $75 overboard here than what we were expecting for food. If we look at our total here, we can see that right now the difference from what we expected versus the difference from what we actually spent is over $775. But you could see we still have some breathing room here. In this case, the $525, if the month was finished, would be what we have as discretionary funds. So we could take a portion of that and utilize towards our crypto, or we can take a portion of that and do whatever we like with it. But let's say, you go through the month and you fill out some details here and we have a miscellaneous payment that actually comes through. And we spent $750 additional on that. Maybe our car blew up. Maybe, we had to take an emergency trip somewhere. So if the month was completed, we would see that we have spent more than what we actually earned. So we are over by $225. So if the month was finished, if everything was done, then we wouldn't actually have any discretionary funds to use. So this is the number that you want to pay attention to, and you want to keep yourself honest. Lastly, you can actually duplicate the page down here. If you right click your mouse here and you click duplicate, it will make a copy of this sheet. And maybe you want to do this before you actually start to edit it and put in several months. Otherwise, you would just have to go through and clear out the data that you've entered previously. And then you can also rename this here. So if we click on rename, so let's go rename one, and you can do that for each and every single sheet here. So hopefully this was helpful. So if after using the tracker you find that you truly have very little or no funds left, consider finding creative ways to earn more or save more that are low cost or zero out of pocket to start. If you're at this stage, it will be a grind before you get to step 2, but it is completely possible. You're listening and looking at someone who has been able to come back from debt and who has been able to consider myself financially free. So you want to begin first to clear up any debt that you can and lowering your expenses if possible. If you need more funds, before investing, you want to think about other things that could be done, like a gig or freelance work. I'm talking Uber, Instacart, etc. That could also be reward apps, like getting paid to upload your receipts, completing surveys or offers. It could also be online work like affiliate marketing, blogging, etc. Do what you can to chip away at expenses so that you can move on to step 2. If you move on to step 2 before solving step 1, it may cause you further financial harm. In fact, I can almost guarantee that it will, because you're starting off step 2 at a major disadvantage to yourself. So now that we know how much actual discretionary funds we have on a monthly basis, we can now move on to step 2, which is deciding how much of that we will use towards investing in crypto and these opportunities. So before you decide to jump into an opportunity, I want you to think of questions like, am I going to allocate X amount one time? Am I going to allocate X amount each week, bi-weekly, each month, quarterly? And you want to do that when deciding how much of your discretionary funds that you have that you'll use towards this niche. So once you decide on this, you need to stick to your plan. So think about it very thoroughly and very seriously. Remember that this should only be extra funds that you have found to be discretionary in step 1. Having a dedicated plan will already put you way ahead of the pack, since most simply get started without any strategy in mind. They can't play the game long term because they often skip step 1 and step 2. But because you've watched this far in this video, I am hoping that that will not be you. However, this is only part of the strategy that we will use. The next step is just as important. So let's talk about step 3. Step 3 is deciding what type of player you will be. And if you're listening to me, you may be like, okay, well, Marquita, what the heck are you talking about by player? Many people think of this game of life as just that, a game. And within the crypto world, within investing, you also have players. So you want to decide what type of player you're going to be. In my mind, there are 2 different players that we have in this crypto investing niche. We have the influencer and we have the lone star. Now, each of these characters have their own character traits. They also have their own flaws or disadvantages. I want to go through each of that with you. So the first is the influencer. We have 3 levels of influencer. We have the mega star, the rising star, and the beginner star. The next are the lone stars. We also have 3 categories. We have the mega lone star, the rising lone star, and the beginner lone star. I'm going to cover both the influencer and lone star, all of the characters within, so you know where you fit in when you're talking about your role with getting your journey started. So let's first talk about the mega star influencer. This is the highest level of influence that you can get. People who follow this influencer usually buy or participate in anything that they offer. This person tends to have a lot of success, a lot of status, and authority. And because of their status, they tend to have a cult-like following. They also tend to recoup their capital on referral commissions alone the same day. Not only that, the megastar also gets pitched directly from these opportunities, and typically they can get capital to start in the program and also get paid for promoting it to their audience, therefore lowering their risk even further. However, the megastar does come with some drawbacks. It's not all glitz and glam. So because the megastar is in the limelight due to their status, they are the easiest to target. So you'll have people making videos about them, you'll have people writing blogs about them, you'll have people trying to hack them, etc., because they're the easiest seen. They can also lose their megastar status if they're not careful with their audiences. Megastar status generally does take some time to reach, so you have to go through the other influencer levels before you get to megastar, and they usually don't get there by accident. It's a lot of dedication and work to get to this megastar status. But just because it took a long time to get there doesn't mean it takes a long time to fall from that status. So it can be lost relatively quickly if they're constantly making mistakes with their audience. Next on the list is the rising star influencer. This person has a relatively high level of influence, but they are below the mega influencer. They are usually the second level of hearing about new opportunities. Generally, the mega star is going to tell the rising star about these opportunities. They've generally built that following that will participate in what they share after a bit of due diligence. Because of this, not all offerings that they share will get massive adoption. They tend to get all of their investment capital back within days or weeks from referral commissions alone, and they also can be pitched directly by these opportunities as well. But just like the megastar, the rising star does have some drawbacks. So the rising star has some limelight as well, which makes them easier targets for people that dislike the crypto space or would like to build status off of the use of their name. So they also get videos and articles written about them as well. Because they are not megastars, they often are second choice for projects. This means that if a megastar is first to mention an opportunity, it causes the rising star a lesser chance in being chosen as a person's referrer to their audience. And that's because most of the rising stars' audience are also following megastars. Rising stars are also at risk of losing their audience's attention if they are not careful. Lastly, in the influencer category, we have the beginner star. This person has some but very small influence compared to the mega and rising star because they're generally at the beginning of starting their journeys. Usually they begin with family and friends, and they may have some presence online. Typically, this influencer doesn't gain much in commission from sharing their journeys, and they don't break even from commissions alone in the short term. However, because they are fairly new and they don't have that much influence, it allows them to make a lot of mistakes early on without being as criticized for it like the mega and the rising star will. However, the beginner star is the smallest influencer, and because of that, they don't have a lot of authority or status. They generally have to work much harder than the mega and rising star to gain traction and momentum. The influencer can lose popularity with their family and friends quickly if the wrong choices are made frequently. This influencer is the closest to the Lone Star player, which we will discuss next. Now, the influencer is more about advocating for a program to enhance its sales and subsequently their commissions. Their style is more aligned with affiliate marketing rather than investing in crypto, although they typically are members of the projects that they share. A person with little to no discretionary funds can work their way up the influencer ladder until they earn enough to have ample discretionary funds to use, and at that point maybe they want to continue on the influencer ladder, but they can also move over to the Lone Star. So now that we're talking about Lone Star, let's see exactly what we have here. So the first Lone Star is the Mega Lone Star. This person has gained a lot of discretionary funds to use either by their active income, so their jobs, their gigs, etc., or by selecting a number of wins over time and gaining momentum. They can take a bigger and more frequent risk than the other Lone Stars that we'll cover. They usually can start to withdraw faster and earn more because of their participation size. This may allow them to break even faster than other Lone Stars. They can also spread their risk across numerous opportunities due to their discretionary funds, but this does come at some drawbacks. So the Mega Lone Star can often make bigger bets on many different opportunities at the same time in an attempt to stay well diversified. Because of this, if they're not careful with their spending, they can lose many of their discretionary funds in a very short period of time, pushing them back down the Lone Star ladder. Next, let's talk about the Rising Lone Star. This person has some discretionary funds to use, but not more than the Mega Lone Star. They can diversify into several opportunities, but they have to limit their participation size. Because of their participation size, though, they tend to be able to meet the minimum withdrawals quickly, allowing them more frequent withdrawals. This may allow them to hit break even within weeks or even short months of starting something new. Their drawbacks are because the Rising Lone Star has a little less capital to work with, they tend to have to be more strategic about which opportunities they join. They may spend time deliberating which opportunities are best, which may hinder them from starting early or at all. Because of this, they may stay stagnant in their growth while working towards being a Mega Lone Star, and if they're not careful, much like the Mega Lone Star, they could lose their status. And lastly, on the list, we have the Beginner Lone Star. This person has very little discretionary funds to use. They typically are at the very beginning of their journeys, and because they're new, they're more open to trying new things and can experience great wins early on. This person tends to be actively searching for opportunities and may discover hidden gems that the other Lone Stars may not be interested in due to their status. The drawbacks to a beginner Lone Star is that because this person is so new, they may lack the information that the other Lone Stars have. They may fall into scams faster than the other Lone Stars. This Lone Star tends to join things very quickly that promise high returns for short periods of time. And because of their limited capital, if they're not careful with their spending, they may lose most of their discretionary funds, which may cause them to quit before they have their breakthrough. So the Lone Star is about earning a passive income without the need to share. Their focus is on picking the best opportunities to suit their needs and maximizing those opportunities as much and as fast as they can. So be sure that you are choosing which player you want to go with, either the influencer or the Lone Star, or if you're going to be somewhere in between with certain opportunities. Now that we have chosen the type of player we will be, it's time to move on to step 4. Step 4 is choosing a program risk level, a starting capital, and diversification. Choosing your program and diversification method is what is actually going to assure the best chances at success. Not understanding the varying risk levels and how much you allocated to those risk levels can put you at an even greater risk of loss. So when we're talking about the next thing here, I want to show you a very high level. So this is going to incorporate some of the earlier steps that we've seen, and I'm going to dive into the next step as well. So here we've already discovered what our discretionary funds are. So we're going to be adding to this blue bucket either every week, every month, one time, etc. From your bucket of discretionary funds, you're going to decide how much to allocate to each level. So we have 4 levels here: level 0, level 1, level 2, and level 3. Once the opportunity starts generating profits for you, you're going to take those earned profits and put them back into your discretionary bucket. So now that you have more to allocate towards the different levels of opportunity. The goal is to get your discretionary funds high enough for you where you are able to pull from that and put it into your bank account to be able to pay certain bills or even create an entire income from that as well. So let's go into the different levels here so I can explain to you in detail what each of these levels are. So the first level is level 0. This is going to be extreme high risk. These are super gambles. These programs have a less than 1% success rate for the majority of the people that participate, and it also has a less than 1% success rate for lasting more than 3 days. These are going to be the opportunities that you see out there, like the 10% plus hourlies, 15% plus dailies, etc. Now, some people may decide to participate in these opportunities. If you would, I would decide to put a very, very, very small amount of my discretionary funds into these level 0s. And if I could help it, I would not recommend joining these opportunities, especially if you're at the beginning of your journey. The next is level 1. These are also high risk opportunities, but they have better odds than joining a level 0. These generally pay 10% or more each and every single week. The turnaround time on your investment is around 11 weeks. Generally, they can last a few months with good community support. If you decide to get into these deals, I would withdraw often until I'm in profit, and only after that point will I decide on compounding strategies. Again, much like the level 0, a smaller portion of your diversification funds should go into these level 1s if you decide to get started in them. The next up is level 2, which is also high risk, but you have good odds at winning compared to levels 0 and 1. These generally pay anywhere from 3 to 10% weekly. The turnaround time on investment is about 10 to 34 weeks. These can run for years with the right community and external income. Most who start early enough in these can reap great profit. Those that get in later usually experience loss. The capital invested in these platforms should be understood as a longer wait before breaking even, and you can put a larger amount of capital from your discretionary funds in this as opposed to level 0 through 1. Level 3 is the lowest risk and the best odds out of all of the levels that we see here. These tend to pay less than 3% weekly. They usually have real world utility and income. Because they are lower paying, they take the longest to ROI or break even. However, they are usually around for many, many years. Capital in these should be understood as something you use for longer term growth, so you shouldn't be expecting to get much out of these opportunities quickly. Larger amounts of capital are needed in these to earn significant income, and you could use profits from levels 0 through 2 here. You can also directly fund a larger portion of your discretionary balances here as well, because you're typically going to get a bigger return over time. Now, I want to make a distinction that these levels are not set in stone. You may have some level 0s pretending to be level 3s. You may have some level 1s that pay a high return, but they're actually level 3s. So you have to do your own due diligence when looking into these things as well. But this is a general guidance that should help you along the way. Once we have our diversification strategy down, we need to move on to the next step, which is step 5 in our process, and that is tracking your results. Keeping a detailed record of your deposits and withdrawals allows you to actually see how your discretionary funds are performing in single crypto opportunities and overall as well. So what I like to use is a simple Google or Excel tracking sheet. Some examples are on the screen here, and I do them by program. So you can see that I have the date here. I have what I put out of my discretionary funds on that date and what I withdrew to my wallet. And down here, it tallies the difference between my withdrawn to wallet and my external deposits, giving me the profit that I have. So using this will give you insights on how far you've come to maximizing any given opportunity, or if you need to reevaluate where you stand on strategy. You want to take the guesswork out of whether you are profitable. Completing withdrawals is not equivalent to earning a profit. Remember, you are only in profit once your withdrawals have exceeded the amount you've initially started with from your discretionary funds. Also remember that additions to the opportunity from earnings are not your initial discretionary investment. So compounding what you've earned inside the platform is different than putting funds directly out of your pocket into the opportunity. Tracking may show you that you are doing much better than you actually thought you were. Having this insight is super important. I can assure you that doing this will set you apart from so many other people. It's also great to keep this in practice for this information because you may need it for tax purposes as well. So I want to give you all who have made it this far in the video a bonus for watching the video. So I want to give you some information and this actual tracking sheet that I have so you don't have to create it yourself. All you have to do is let me know that you want the sheet by dropping a comment below, and I will give you the details on how to claim that as well. So congrats to you for watching this far into the video. There may be some who've clicked off because they simply don't want to hear what I have to say in this video. A lot of people, they can't take the criticism, but it's not just that, you all. It's really trying to help you in this new year and beyond, and I just want you to be successful. So if you take action on the steps of this video, you will be much further in the coming months than most would be all year. So there are going to be some people that just drift through their crypto journeys and they continuously take losses, but that will not be you if you take action on the 5 steps that I've listed here. So that's it for me. I want to thank you for watching this video. If you found any value at all in this video, please give this video a like. Go ahead and subscribe. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. Also, I am here to help you on your journey this year. Check out this video here if you haven't already. All of the tips and tricks that I use are going to be in all of the videos, so you want to make sure that you subscribe for more. But it's been Marquita. I'm with Team TRM, and as I always say, I'll see you at the top or not. You decide. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.